Hello everybody, welcome to Painting with a Twist. My name is Michelle and I'll be your instructor today, your artist. We are going to be painting a really cute little sunflower picture with you guys. But before we get started and have all that fun, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the supplies that we'll be using. So the paints that we use are not going to come out of your clothing if you get it on yourself. So just be careful while you're painting. Just don't get it on your clothes the best you can. We also are just going to be using one brush today, so we're just going to stick with this guy the whole way through. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think with that we can go ahead and get started. So we're going to start out with our yellow paint that we have here. So you're just going to take your big brush and we're just going to dip into that yellow paint, and we're going to start out by making a circle starting from the right side of your canvas, arcing all the way down to the center at the bottom of your canvas just with this yellow paint. So you're gonna take your brush, put it on your canvas, and make an arc just going right from that center of that side to the center of the bottom. So you're just gonna make an arc with that yellow. And don't worry if it's a little wobbly. Flowers aren't perfectly symmetrical, so it's okay if that arc isn't super circular. Once you have just a thin little arc of the yellow paint, we're going to start painting the petals onto our flower. And with sunflowers, it doesn't matter how many petals you make, just as long as you have petals that go across the whole way of your canvas. So I'll just go ahead and show you guys how to paint a petal with your brush and your yellow paint. So you're just gonna start from the right edge of your canvas, and you're just gonna go up from that arc that you made with the yellow paint, and you're going to draw a line going up. It's not a straight line, it kind of has a little bit of a curve. So that's one side of your petal. And then on the other side, you're gonna do kind of like a matching arc just to match that shape on the other side that we have going on here. So as you can see, that's a petal shape right there. And once you have that painted out with your brush, you're just gonna fill that in with the yellow paint, just painting up and down with that big brush that we have. And there is one of your petals. So you're gonna continue that process all the way around your little arc that we painted at the beginning. So you're just gonna start with one side, make one arcing line, and then match it on the other side just a little, maybe about an inch away, just to make a petal. And you will fill that in with yellow paint. And try not to make your paint super thick. We want it to cover the canvas well, but you don't have to really put on a whole lot just to get that color down there. So just one thin layer is good. So you're just gonna keep on continuing, making little arcs and filling it in. And look at that, you're painting a sunflower. And it's up to you how many petals you want on your sunflower and how tall they reach on your canvas as well. You can make some petals longer than others. For this one, I'm gonna take it up just a little bit higher, just to make it look a little uneven and more natural looking. So it's up to you if you want them different lengths and tallness in your petals, or if you want them all to look the same. But essentially, that is just what we're doing right now. We are just painting in those yellow petals and making sure that our paint is pretty thin so that it has good time to dry, because we'll be adding a little bit more color to that later. And we want to make sure the paint is dry before we do that. And if you have an awkward amount of space at the bottom by the time you get there, that's okay. You can kind of pretend like there's a petal there and just kind of drag it off your canvas. I don't know if you can see that. So I didn't really have enough space for a whole petal, but that's okay. I'm gonna pretend like there's one there, and it's just gonna disappear off the bottom. All right, so once you have all your petals painted, you're gonna go ahead and wash out your brush in a cup of water. So you can just put your brush down to the bottom of your cup and swirl it around a little bit just to get all the paint off of the brush. You can tap it too, make a fun beat, do a little dance. And then you're just gonna dab it dry on a paper towel. Doesn't have to be super dry, just as long as it's not soaking with water, it should be fine. Now we will be getting into the next color, which is gonna be that really dark brown color we have in our kit. So you're gonna take your brush that's just been washed and dip it into that brown paint. And we're gonna be painting this whole inside section brown. So just go ahead and put it down there with your big brush. Now for this part, it's really interesting to purposefully get that really cool brush texture in your painting. So try not to make it nice and smooth when you're painting. Rather kind of pick up your brush and lay it down pretty quickly. So it's gonna make really interesting shapes and squares on the middle part of your flower. It's just gonna look really interesting, trust me on this. So you're just gonna dab that paint on there, and you're gonna go all the way up to that white space, up to the arc that we made earlier that started our petals. So basically all the white space in the middle of the flower, you're just filling in with that brown. And once you are by the edges of that arc, you can go ahead and slow it down just a little bit and kind of drag the paints with your brush so that you make sure to get the brown touching the yellow. So I'm just gonna continue that onto the bottom part. It can be kind of hard to reach if you're laying your canvas upright. So just get it the best you can. And then I'm just doing another dab all around the whole thing just to make some cool texture. I love the brush texture, it's really fun. So once you have your middle section painted, we're going to actually still be using this brown color, and we're gonna be dragging up a little bit of this brown paint into your yellow petals. So for this part, you're gonna have the brown on your brush, but you're gonna wanna wipe quite a bit of it off on the side of your plate or on a paper towel. And you're gonna take your brush and just kind of streak some lines up into your petals. And you can rotate your brush a little bit, kind of figure out what lines you like. If you rotate it this way and go upwards, it's gonna make really skinny lines like that. If you rotate it that way and go upwards, it's gonna make a really thick stroke like that. So just kind of continue rotating your brush the way you want your petals to have that kind of rustic brown look on there. And I'm just gonna go over all of my petals and just add a little bit of that brown. And you don't have to make all your petals look the same. You can do a different amount of lines with that brown on each petal. You can make it look a little different on all of the petals just to make it look kind of interesting. And feel free to add as much brown or as little brown as you like on your sunflower. And if you feel like you don't want so much brown, just remember to wipe it off on the side of your plate or a paper towel after you pick up some more brown. That way you won't have as much on your brush to put down onto your petals. So just continue adding lines until you feel like you have enough on there. You can do a whole outline of the petal on the outside if you would like to. It gives it kind of a cartoony petal look, which is really interesting. And you don't have to do it to all of them. I'm just picking a couple random petals and just adding that outline around the outside edges. And once you feel like you've put enough color and variation on your sunflower, you can go ahead and wash out your brush once again. Swirl it around. Make a fun beat. And dry it off on your paper towel. And now we will be doing the last step of your painting, and that will be to paint the background color, which is going to be this really pretty blue that we have in our kit. So take your brush, dip it in that blue, and all that's left that's white, we're going to paint blue. So just go ahead and put it on there. And kind of like this brown section, it's really nice to do this blue in big chunky strokes, just to have some cool texture in the background. When you get close to your flower though, just be careful and kind of slow down your brush movements, just so you don't get any of that blue onto your petals. Just do the best you can. If you get a little bit over your petals, that's okay. Your petals will still be there and it will still be gorgeous. So just try angling your brush so that the sharp point of your brush is kind of angled at a way that makes it easy to get into the small spaces. And just continue to paint your background around your petals. So I find that I like to kind of outline my flower with that blue paint first, and then kind of go back and do the pattern texture in the bigger part of the background. If you try to get that texture really close to your petals, you're in danger of blobbing it onto your flower. So just around your flower, you don't have to do the texture on there. Just do it in the big free open spaces of your background. So we're just continuing to paint and enjoy your time painting. So slow down once you get in between your petals, and then rock and roll for the rest of it. And I like to work in individual little sections at a time. I just find that that's easier and kind of more satisfying to just kind of complete one little section at a time. That way you don't have to work on one huge thing and then have to go back everywhere. I just like to paint around each petal, fill in that space, and then move on to the next petal. So just remember to get that cool texture in there, but be careful not to blob onto your flower. And once you have your background painted, there's your beautiful sunflower painting. It's up to you if you would like to paint the sides of your canvas. If you would like to paint those, just paint those the solid blue color. It's a really lovely painting, so I hope you had a lot of fun painting this with me. Thank you for joining us.